The morning sun casts long shadows across Central Park as an elderly man sits alone on a weathered wooden bench. His worn-out military jacket, once a symbol of pride, now hangs loosely on his thin frame. A plastic cup sits between his trembling hands, collecting the occasional coin from passers-by. In vivid contrast, we see a younger version of the man, Captain Thomas Ryan, leading his platoon through the rugged terrain of Afghanistan. His voice is strong and commanding as he guides his soldiers through a dangerous mission. The scene shifts to a ceremony where he receives the Bronze Star for saving the lives of his fellow soldiers during an ambush. Back in civilian life, Thomas becomes a respected high school history teacher. He marries a kind woman named Sarah, and they have 2 children. His classroom is always filled with students eager to hear his stories about history and his time in the military. He is known for his dedication to helping troubled youth find their way. Now, after a series of unfortunate events, a teaching position lost due to budget cuts, a failed business venture, and a divorce that left him penniless, Thomas finds himself living in a shelter. His pension barely covers his medical expenses, and he suffers from chronic pain due to old war injuries. At the VA clinic, he waits for hours only to be told his appointment was cancelled without notice. Social workers shuffle through his paperwork with detached efficiency, their eyes glazing over as he recounts his service record. Homeless outreach workers treat him with condescension, handing him a sandwich and a flyer for services he can't access. Teenagers on their way to school laugh as they passed him, calling him names and throwing empty bottles. One day, a group of them knock over his cup, spilling the meager coins he'd collected. When he tries to speak to them, they mock his limp and his old uniform patches. One cold winter morning, Thomas collapses on the park bench from a combination of malnutrition and untreated injuries. A security guard approaches not to help, but to tell him he can't sleep there. As Thomas tries to explain his situation, his voice grows weaker. The guard, impatient, calls the police. The scene ends with Thomas lying on the cold pavement, surrounded by a growing crowd of indifferent onlookers. His dog tags glint in the harsh light of a police spotlight, the only remaining proof of his past heroism. Thomas wakes up in a sterile hospital room. The fluorescent lights hurt his eyes, and the beeping of machines fills the silence. A young doctor explains that he suffered from severe hypothermia and malnutrition. The same guard who called the police now stands in the corner, watching with a mixture of guilt and unease. A nurse mentions that a reporter from the local news caught wind of the story. The next day, Thomas finds himself at the center of a media frenzy. Headlines scream about the forgotten veteran and the system's failure. Social media is ablaze with comments, some sympathetic, others cruel and dismissive. Among the chaos, a few individuals step forward. An old student from his teaching days, now a successful lawyer, offers pro bono legal assistance. A local restaurant owner starts a fundraiser, and veterans groups organize support. The community begins to rally around him, but Thomas remains skeptical. VA officials suddenly become attentive. They offer a full medical review and promise to expedite his benefits. Social services provide temporary housing and financial assistance, but the bureaucratic wheels turn slowly, and each step forward seems to come with new paperwork and delays. The security guard who called the police visits Thomas regularly. He brings food and apologizes repeatedly. Over time, their relationship evolves into something unexpected, a friendship. The guard, whose own life has been marked by mistakes and regrets, sees in Thomas a chance to make amends. As the media attention dies down, Thomas faces a choice. He could become a symbol of the system's failures, or he could use his story to create change. With the help of his newfound allies, he starts a small organization aimed at supporting veterans transitioning back to civilian life. One evening, while addressing a small gathering, Thomas breaks down. He talks about the pain of being forgotten, the struggle to find purpose again, and the importance of second chances. The room falls silent, then fills with applause. In the end, Thomas realizes that while the system may have failed him, he still has the power to change things for others. He may never fully recover from his past traumas, but he finds a new reason to keep going, not for himself, but for those who might follow in his footsteps. The story closes with Thomas sitting on a bench in the park, now a symbol of resilience and hope. He still collects donations, but now it's for his organization. And every so often, a young person will stop and listen to his stories, not out of pity, but out of genuine interest and respect. The camera pulls back, showing a city that has begun to change, one person at a time.